America's future rests in 1,000 dreams inside your hearts. It rests in the message of hope in songs of a man so many young Americans admire, New Jersey's own Bruce Springsteen.
Ronald Reagan and a lot of Americans at the time got something very, very wrong with Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. Born in the USA was Springsteen's third of 7 consecutive top 10 hits from the album of the same name. And the album was a huge success, selling over 30 million copies worldwide and launching Bruce Springsteen into stardom. The song, with its anthemic chant of being born in the USA, is often seen as a patriotic ode to America, a heartfelt tribute to Springsteen's country. However, this interpretation, which many still believe today, couldn't be further from Springsteen's actual intentions with this song. So what is the full story? And if you love delving into music history like I do, make sure to subscribe and join our pack. Let's go back to 1981. Writer-director Paul Schrader asked Bruce Springsteen to write the title track for an upcoming film about a blue-collar bar band, which was initially called Born in the USA. Springsteen was also offered the lead role in the film, but he declined. That role ultimately went to Michael J. Fox. While working on a song called Vietnam, Bruce was inspired by the film to change the name of the song to Born in the USA. And in place of the title track, Springsteen provided the song Just Around the Corner to the Light of Day, which was recorded by Joan Jett. Subsequently, Schrader renamed his film to Light of Day. So a little swapsies happened there between Bruce Springsteen and Paul Schrader. A year later, Springsteen set up in his New Jersey home studio with an acoustic guitar, recorded demos for a series of songs, one of which was Born in the USA. These demos were for a potential album with the E Street Band. When he brought in the band to record electrified versions of these demos, he soon realised that the stripped-back nature of the demos captured the raw emotion of the lyrics much better. As a result, those demos became the album Nebraska, which earned widespread praise for its stark and uncompromising portrayal of life in America. Now, Born in the USA was initially excluded from the Nebraska album because Springsteen and his manager, John Landau, didn't really see any value in it. So John was quite surprised when a couple of years later, in 1982, Bruce brought back Born in the USA to be recorded in a full studio setup. The Born in the USA album sessions lasted 2 years and resulted in the largest number of completed song recordings of any session in Bruce Springsteen's career. Around 70 songs were recorded in this period. And in April 1982, at New York's Power Station studio, the band and Bruce brought Born in the USA to life. Roy Bittan's synthesizer riff drives the song forward like a rocket, while Max Weinberg's drumming, particularly his wild improvised rolls during the instrumental break, injects the track with a sort of adrenaline. And speaking of the drumming, its unique sound was achieved in a very creative way. Engineer Toby Scott discovered a broken EMT 140 plate reverb in the studio. This was a piece of equipment for artificially creating reverb. Now, this particular unit had a malfunctioning motor that caused the decay to last several seconds, much longer than it should have. Now, the assistant in the studio thought it was unusable, but Toby Scott, being as creative as he was, saw potential and decided to use it for the project. He fed the drum sound into the malfunctioning plate reverb and adjusted the decay to match the song's tempo, creating that booming, extended reverb sound. Additionally, Scott ran the reverb through a Kepex gate, which was set to trigger from the snare mic, creating a controlled explosive snare sound. This technique, combined with Max Weinberg's drumming, room mics from the studio, and the long reverb decay, produced the signature powerful drum sound heard on the track. Now, the song itself is much less of a celebration of America than it may appear. Springsteen wrote the song from a place of profound anguish, inspired by a chance encounter with Ron Kovic, a Marine who was deployed to Vietnam in 1965. In January 1968, during his second tour, Kovic was wounded in combat. leaving him paralysed from the chest down. After returning home, he faced both physical and emotional trauma, alongside his strong opposition to the war. In 1980, Springsteen came across Kovic's 1976 book, Born on the 4th of July, during a cross-country road trip. About 2 weeks later, Springsteen found himself staying at the Sunset Marquis Hotel in Los Angeles, where by coincidence, Kovic was also a guest, and they crossed paths at the hotel pool where Kovic encouraged Springsteen to visit a nearby veterans center. Now, this experience would prove to be profound and enlightening for Bruce Springsteen, and as a result, he would start writing the song Vietnam. He based this song on the stories of veterans. The verses are just an account of events, he once said. He described it as the chorus being a declaration of your birthplace and the pride, confusion, shame, and grace that comes with it. You need to understand that Springsteen wrote this song at a time when he was deeply troubled and frustrated by the harsh realities faced by Vietnam soldiers upon their return to America. Springsteen's vocals on the song are delivered with a fierce defiance. He takes on the role of a Vietnam veteran, telling his life story in direct, powerful language, beginning with a painful childhood, continuing through a troubled adolescence, and culminating in his time in the war. Springsteen's belief was firm. Those who had risked their lives for their country deserve nothing less than a hero's welcome home. However, the reality was strikingly different. The Vietnam War marked a dramatic break from victorious conflicts, leaving those who served there largely forgotten upon returning home. Since Vietnam was the first war the US didn't win, those who fought in it were largely ignored upon their return, leaving Springsteen disheartened with a country he once thought he understood. And you can really see this sentiment in the song's verses, which criticize the treatment of veterans after their return home. Come back home to the refinery. Hiring man says, son, if it was up to me. Went down to see my VA man, that's Veterans Affairs by the way, a government department that provides benefits and services to veterans and their families. He said, son, you don't understand now. And this sense of betrayal deepens as this protagonist in the song reflects on the futility of war and the profound losses that he suffered. Had a brother at Khe Sanh fighting off the Viet Cong. They're still there, he's all gone. Despite this clear portrayal of disillusionment, when Born in the USA was released in 1984, it was embraced by conservative figures like George Will, who praised Springsteen's values. This led to President Ronald Reagan referencing the song in a campaign speech during his re-election bid. Ronald Reagan adopted the song during his campaign in New Jersey, and Springsteen responded by making speeches in his concerts, making it clear that his political views differ wildly from Ronald Reagan's. In a 2005 NPR interview, Springsteen expressed his anger. This was when the Republicans first mastered the art of co-opting anything and everything that seemed fundamentally American. And if you were on the other side, you are somehow unpatriotic. He added, I make American music and I write about the place I live and who I am in my lifetime. Those are the things I'm going to struggle for and fight for. A lot of people got swept up in the song's power, misinterpreting it as purely patriotic, whereas Bruce Springsteen's songwriting was far more complex. It was a big song at things like the 4th of July, but really the song is not about blind patriotism. Instead, Springsteen challenges the notion of patriotism as unquestioning loyalty to the government, emphasizing that true patriotism involves a commitment to the ideals upon which the country was founded. As such, anyone singing along to the song's powerful chorus must do so with a sense of ironic critique, not unthinking pride. And this, of course, caused a lot of ambivalence among Americans when they found out the true meaning of this song. And Bruce Springsteen talked about this. He later said, you can both be very critical of your nation and very proud of your nation simultaneously. In his songs, Springsteen explained, the hope is found in the choruses inspired by gospel music, while the verses focus on the harsh realities of daily life. Unfortunately, the legacy of Born in the USA has been somewhat tarnished by this misinterpretation, which has led to some to view Springsteen as a symbol of American idealism when in fact he's a hero for very different reasons. Now, another commonly misinterpreted song is Every Breath You Take by The Police. Now, that has a really fascinating story behind it. It actually caused so much fighting within the band. I've made a full video on that too. You can click over there and watch it next.